All right, everybody, what is going on? Good evening, early evening here, and I know everybody's all caught up in this schedule stuff. We're getting more and more leaks with every hour that goes by. We're getting more information about who's playing when. Still nothing else with the Seahawks other than that opening game now apparently being against the Patriots. But we are able to kind of sort of derive stuff from the information that we're getting to see when the Seahawks aren't going to be playing and who they're not going to be playing. So there is some stuff going on that's pretty fun. So definitely locked in on that. The Seahawks did sign Bud Clark earlier today to his rookie deal. Pretty notable, I guess. But at the end of the day, we knew what he was going to get. It's on the rookie scale, so there isn't a lot that can really change. But I wanted to talk about this a little bit here because I know this was still on the minds of some Seahawks fans, although maybe not anymore now that we drafted Jadarian Price. But I want to talk about this for a second. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. More on them a little bit later. But earlier today, one of the things that happened, I think this was like maybe less than an hour ago, the Miami Dolphins decided to re-up De'Von Achane. Devon Achane is now a long-term Miami Dolphin, and he is one of the highest paid running backs in football. The Dolphins and Achane have reached an agreement on a 4-year, $68 million contract extension, including $32 million guaranteed. And this comes from Schefter, so this is about as credible as it gets. So I don't think Seahawks fans were seriously thinking about trading for Achane anymore. I think the Jadarian Price pick kind of closed the door on that. And when you consider the fact that this team is still going to get Zach Charbonnet back at some point during this season, excuse me. And you also have I think the Emmanuel Wilson thing is kind of frisky as well. You don't We might end up a little bit disappointed with the level of play we get from our running backs in 2026. It's possible, but I don't think as of right now you could justify making a big trade for a really good one like an Achane. I think at that point you're like, okay, you're going to have an embarrassment of riches at a position that is considered somewhat low leverage. Nevertheless, though, trading for Achane was something that a lot of Seahawks fans, myself included, talked about before the season started. I'm sorry, before the offseason started and into the offseason. So now we can at least say we don't even have to think about it anymore because Miami is locking him in. Now, with this extension comes, I think, another piece of the conversation that is worth having. Is it a good thing that we didn't have to deal with this? Because this is quite something. And what I mean by that is the size of this extension. It is massive. In fact, as of right now, De'Von Achane has the largest contract of any player in football at his position by almost $15 million. $68 million is 15 million more than Jeremiah Loves, who is the next biggest. And then you have ETN, Josh Jacobs, James Cook, et cetera, et cetera. Now that's just total value. Average annual salary, Achane is third behind Saquon and McCaffrey, but even that really does kind of it does kind of show you how significant this contract is. This is no small thing. And it's call it 2 to 2.5 million more per year than what K9 got. It's also about $1.75 million more than what Breece Hall got. So that's about as high up as you can reasonably get. If you like sports, then the best way to make them even better and more exciting is using the Prize Picks app, where it always feels good to be right. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy simple. Just pick more or less on your favorite players and build lineups with a few taps. Whatever sport you're into, and obviously we are now firmly into the NFL offseason, so we're all about baseball. We got some basketball, we got some hockey, whatever it is you like. Prize Picks gives you a fun way to stay locked in while you're watching. Definitely make sure to use the promo code HMA. Prize Picks is hooking up users with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. If you use that promo code, that is HMA. I've had a great time on Prize Picks so far, so definitely get on over to it. Check it out. and make sure to get your lineups. And don't forget about team picks, where you can pick winners, spreads, and totals on any major game. So download the app now, use HMA, and get on over to Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And remember, always gamble responsibly. So if the Seahawks had traded for Achane, first of all, it probably would have cost a pretty good amount of draft capital, at least your second round pick, probably more, maybe even your first round pick. So you could have looked at it as you're trading Jadarian Price for De'Von Achane, and Achane's clearly a better player just in general and right now, admittedly, but you may have been forced to give him this contract if you had traded for him. 4 years, 68 million. Maybe you could have gotten him to go along with the 1-year rental thing, where then he gets to become a free agent next year and probably get even more money, especially if he does well, the Jadeveon Clowney thing. But you may have had to give him this contract, and that's tough. So it's hard to feel like we really missed out on too much here. And I say this as a big fan of De'Von Achane. I think he's a great player. I think he's one of the best backs in football. I don't think this is unreasonable for him to be the third highest paid running back in football. But at the same time, I don't know if I want my team, the team that I root for, the team that I watch, to be the team that gives him all that money, knowing that at the end of the day, he is still a running back. And that the Seattle backfield in 2026, you've got Price at 3 million, Wilson at, what is it, less than 2, Alani at less than 1.5, and Charbonnet at his amount. I can't remember exactly what it is, but you add all those running backs together, you're talking about what, $8 million at most, I think, in terms of a 2026 cap hit. And then you have flexibility because a lot of those guys are on shorter term deals than what Achane's on now. It's really hard to feel like you missed out too much on this one, as much as Achane is one of my favorite players. Him getting 2 to 2.5 million more per year than K9 is, I know he's better than K9. I do think he is. And I even think it would be fair to say he's better and more valuable than Breece Hall. I don't think it's such a blowout that it completely justifies this level of additional cost. So yeah, that's kind of just what I wanted to get to here. We know we're not getting Achane now. We probably knew that since the moment we took Jadarian Price in the draft. The question is, do we feel bad about it now that we've seen the extension he's gotten? At the end of the day, he is a running back, and as much as I like him, he's not Saquon. He's not prime CMC. He's a running back who I really like and I think very highly of, but what are we doing here? All right, so close that door, but I don't think people were thinking about going through that door anyway. All right, go Hawks.